A very good day I bid to Dr. Zahurin, our lecturer for this EMC 311 simulation project. We are from group MEC01 and these are all our group members. So for today's simulation project, we'll be doing rain sensing wipers. So rain sensing wipers, they are not particularly new to the industry, but they are more commonly found on premium car makers like Mazda, BMW and Mercedes. So this system works whereby there's actually a rain sensor mounted on top of the windshield to detect the presence of any water droplets. So if there are any water droplets on the windshield, the system will then activate the wipers to clear out the water. So rain sensing wipers, for me, I consider it as one of the safety feature for the driver, but we found out that actually not many budget cars come with it, and we'll soon find out that actually these systems aren't very expensive to install. So let's discuss about the parts required for this project. So naturally, we require the Raspberry Pi 4 and the basic components like the breadboard, as there's many wires to connect. So for the wipers, we'll be using this micro servo. It's actually quite cheap. And to detect the presence of water, we'll be using this rain sensor. Okay, so we'll move on to the CAD modeling of our prototype. So this one is actually a very simple model which we have created. This one is actually the windshield. All right, we do have the rain sensor on top. Then you have the wipers connected to the servo motor behind the windshield. All right, the data collected from the rain sensor will be sent into the Raspberry Pi, which then interpret the data and then turns on the servo motor. Okay, so let's continue on with the wiring diagram of the rain sensing wipers. So as you can see here, the wiring is fairly simple, nothing too complicated. So for all these three components, which is the two servo motors and the rain sensor, they do need a 5-volt and a ground port. So I've redone that, accelerated out to the breadboard here. All right. For the servo motors, I've connected it to the GPIO port 17, which is denoted by the orange cable here, and going out to individual motors. Right. For the rain sensor, I've connected it to GPIO port 27, which is over here. Alright, so let's proceed on to the programming using Python for this rain sensing wipers. Okay, so for the rain sensing wipers to work properly, the programming is done in two parts. Alright, so for the first part, it will be the servo motor. Right, so as we said earlier on, the servo motor is connected to the GPIO port 17. Alright, so as we come down here, this part is actually the starting point for the servo motor. So the servo motor works in the way that it works in 180 degrees, all right? And then for the programming, it starts at 2.5. 2.5 meaning that the angle is at 0 degrees, and at 12.5, the servo motor is at 180 degrees, right? So the servo motor, when there is no rain, it will stop at 2.5, which is 0 degrees. And when the rain is detected and the wipers is activated, it will move up to 7 meaning that it's 126 degrees, and then after that it will go back to 2.5, which is 0 degrees. Alright, so we'll continue on with the second part of the programming for the rain sensor. So as we said earlier on in the video, the rain sensor is actually connected to the GPIO port 27, and the programming we did earlier on for the servo motor, that we have to import it into the programming for the rain sensor. All right, so from my programming here, if there is no water detected by the rain sensor, the motor will be off and a message stating no rain detected will be informed to the user. All right, and if there is rain detected by the rain sensor, the motor will be active and a message stating that rain is detected will be printed for the user. Alright, so we'll continue on with the last part of the video, which is the prototype and the machine performance. Okay, so this is actually the prototype that we have created based on the SolidWorks model that we did. Alright, so as shown in the modeling, on top, dead center, we do have the rain sensor. Behind the wipers, we do have the servo motors. And behind the windscreen, we do have all the necessary wires and the breadboard. Alright, lastly, we will test out the performance of the rain sensing wipers. Alright, do take note on the top right corner. This is actually a receiver for the rain sensor. And on the receiver, there is actually an LED light which will light up when moisture or water is detected, telling that the system is already active. Alright, so later when I'm testing out the system, do take note on the wipers. Alright, so the tissue that I'm putting on top of the rain sensor is actually moist. So once the system detects the moist tissue, the wipers will start sweeping. And once I remove it, the wipers will stop sweeping. Alright, so that's the end of our simulation project. So thank you for watching and stay safe everyone.